Well, this video is a request video for Todd. Todd asked questions that honestly I would ask Davis Arini because the vocabulary, I don't know what neo-reactionary or deontists are, but I did pull the main questions out of that. But yeah, you need someone with an IQ of about 600,000, and that would be Davis Arini, because he could actually answer your questions in those regards. But the general questions that I do have here, there's two main ones, so I've refined them down to this. The first one is, there are various underlying groups within the Millineals, right-wing movements, and he was wondering, is there an overlap between them or some kind of uniting factor? And yeah, there are factions within the Millineals, and what I see with the Millennials is this is not an insult to millennials, this is an insult to my generation and the baby boomer generation who did a completely inadequate job of educating you properly. The millennials have been so brainwashed and so miseducated about the real world that as they get older and start to realize different things about reality, they don't jive with what they were taught by their teachers or their parents or the media or stuff like that. And it depends really on that individual as to what faction that has them fall in. So you could have like the manosphere, you could have the kids waking up to the education bubble, you could have people waking up to like Obamacare is really just taking young people's money and giving it to old people. It really depends where they are in life and how they're fighting it. Regardless of what subsegment or faction that the millennial right-wing groups are, what unites them all together is that it's truth and reality that's hitting them upside the head. They're finally coming out of their brainwashing, or what they've been brainwashed to believe is not jiving with the real world. And that's really about the only thing that is consistent or relates them all. I estimate it's going to take another decade, maybe 2 decades, of hard times in the real world, in the labor market, and a recession economy, or at least a stagnant economy, before they have the intellectual courage and wisdom and balls to not so much question what they were taught, but to let go of their ego because they vested so much in the fact that they do stupid shit like, oh, I'm a vegan, or I care, I'm a liberal, or I'm all for Obama because look at me, I voted for him, I'm done with white guilt, oh, I can check my privilege. All these things are worthless. They're not skills or talents that are going to help you in the real world. But at the same time, they're very attached to these qualities and traits they have because they really have nothing else in life. They can declare themselves, I declare myself an environmentalist, yay, look at all me, I'm a wonderful person, I am forgiven. It's no different than saying, I'm a Christian, I am forgiven by God, yay. It's the same intellectual dishonesty, but the ego investment into that is going to take at least 10, maybe 20 years, sometimes never, sometimes not before it is brainwashed away and they have truly free minds that allow them to look at the real world for what it is. So I think as time goes on, there'll be a slow wakening up as to just how much they got screwed over. I guess that would be the common, stepping stone to finally get into truth. But it's going to take a while. It's just going to take a while. So I don't see any millennials getting their act together. Except, good Lord, you still have these idiot Obama care cheerleaders running around trying to sign people up, and they're all 20-something-year-old kids that are getting screwed. They're advocating their own demise. It's sad. It's ironic. Then there's a general question about the conservatives and libertarians, Republican types, being for freedom in the form of a democracy versus a monarchist view, which would be anti-democracy, king and country and all that kind of thing. And the issue there is that astute Republicans, astute conservatives, astute libertarians, astute Americans know that we have a republic and a democracy. And that is the solution. I don't believe in a monarchist form of government, although I prefer it over democracy. I won't lie about that because, democracy will always end up failing. It's just how it goes. But that's why we have a republic. And the republic would limit who could vote. And in the past, it was things I disagree with, like women couldn't vote, only white men could vote. But what I would like a return to in one regard, or you could put this rule in there that you have to own property to vote. That'd be one way, because if you own property, it means not only were you personally vested in the country, you weren't the dumbest idiot on the face of the planet. You could manage to save up the money to buy property. Another thing, another idea people have thought about having a republic and limiting who could vote is that you have to pay taxes. You can't be on the government dole, you can't be a government employee and vote, because you're going to vote for your self-interest. The unions are a perfect example, and the welfare queens and other various sorts of scum we have in our society today. What else? Yeah, in the military service, some people recommend that you have to be in the military. That would certainly get us better leaders than we have today. But that's the general point is that a democracy, it's great for a while, especially if it's lived off a republic and all the capital the previous generations have built up. But in the end, democracy people are dumb. They're just dumb, and they're lazy. They're dumb and they're lazy. We're genetically programmed to be that way. And they'll always vote for more money and more puppies and unicorns and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's arms and whatever. You know the story. We see it. They'll just vote for other people's money until the government and the state is the supreme authority. And that's pretty much what it is now. The government, federal government, is the largest entity in the world. Look at this multi-billion-dollar corporation. What about the multi-trillion-dollar entity? They don't care because it gives them money. So yeah, that's it. Those are hopefully that addressed your concerns about the deontist or deonist and all that other stuff. Dude, my IQ isn't that high. Irene should be able to take care of that. So hopefully that helps, and we'll talk later. Toodles.